When I was a kid, I would think about the future. Images of an ultra-convenient 21st century filled with flying cars and robots doing all my chores came rushing through my head. When it came to eating, I imagined having a home food dispenser, just like the Jetsons, which could spit out synthetic versions of any food imaginable with a push of a button. 9 years into the 21st century, I still don't have my flying car, and I'm still making my own bed. It seems the one prophecy that did come true, however, is that of the synthetic food. Although not available via our own home food dispensers, synthetic versions of just about anything you can imagine can be found at your neighborhood grocery store and prepared with little more than the push of a button. While some argue that this is a good thing, providing tasty meals quickly for a nation on the go, others argue we're losing our own food culture and possibly even poisoning our bodies with too much highly processed food devoid of any nutritional value. Rates of obesity and diabetes are on the rise among all sectors of the population. For the first time in our nation's history, experts fear that this generation of children might even have a shorter lifespan than that of their parents.
We had this logic, I think, that if we had more convenience in the kitchen, we didn't have to grow our own food for one thing, and then we didn't have to prepare things from scratch, that somehow that would improve our quality of life. And I think it's just beginning to dawn on us that the opposite is true.
Of course, the idea of the instant meal was not created by the Jetsons. It's an inevitable fantasy of a culture desperate to do everything faster. But how did it get to be this way? What makes American culture so prone to haste at the dinner table? And what can we do to reverse this trend? In the early 1950s, the microwave oven was introduced to the market. The 50s quickly became the golden age of food processing, a decade in which one marvelous innovation after another promised to simplify the lives of American housewives. Ad campaigns made processed foods seem better than fresh ones, more space-age and up-to-date.
We became consumers that really were just geared towards, I need the next new and different food item. I want to try that new fancy TV dinner, or this new convenience product, boxed meal that they have on the market.
By the end of the 1970s, no American kitchen was complete without the convenient microwave oven. This acceleration at the table was mirrored on the farm. Chemical fertilizers and pesticides, genetic modification, every scientific trick known to man has been used to cut costs, boost yields, and make livestock and crops grow more quickly. 2 centuries ago, the average pig took 5 years to reach 130 pounds. Today, it hits 220 pounds after just 6 months and is slaughtered before it loses its baby teeth.
Under the guise that we were reducing hunger, we started producing tons and tons and tons of food, while companies that needed to continue making profits and had this glut of food had to come up with new and creative ways to get us to consume it.
It got out of hand, I think, primarily because of our culture's somewhat obsession with improving things in efficiency, and the fact that improving the bottom line and profits can be in direct conflict with the actual quality of the food.
While to some, this speed at which yields are met is seen as efficient, there's a growing population of people who are starting to question that notion. The slow food movement, started in Italy in 1986 by Carlo Petrini, promotes fresh, local, seasonal produce, sustainable farming, and leisurely dining with family and friends. Slow food also preaches eco-gastronomy, the notion that eating well can and should go hand in hand with protecting the environment.
We imagine a food system that doesn't allow contamination, that, if we're getting our foods from a local farmer, we're not going to have to worry about E. coli, because they monitor their goods so closely.
Whatever we do on this farm, if it's bad, it's going to run off into the creeks or whatever and violate the rest of the environment. But this is what we can handle. We can't shut down any smokestacks, but we can try to do the practices that we use here in a more evolved way, ecologically sound.
At its heart, though, slow food is about pleasure.
If we are eating in season, then we're probably eating foods at when they are most nutritious and the flavor is most vibrant.
Of course, that can be done. It's the only way people have cooked for the last 4 millennia. And for it to be an alternative is kind of disingenuous because it's just the way it's always been done.
Anytime you get something that's shipped across the country to come to you, that product is picked when it's not ripe. Studies are finding that many of the nutrients within our food is formed during the ripening process. So when you buy locally, you're getting food that the farmers allow to ripen on the vine. More nutrients are formed in there, and you get a more nutritious product.
It's better because it's alive. It's not from a grocery store. It's not 12 days old. It's 2 days old.
Perhaps nothing better illustrates the spread of slow food like the resurgence of farmers markets. Carol Ann's Boggy Creek Farms being one of them.
We technically in the Austin area have a farmers market happening almost every day of the week.
But there are also other ways for Austinites to enjoy slow food. Jesse Griffiths of Dai Douai creates entire evenings out of meals of regional ingredients.
Holistically, that's what we wanted, you know, good regional food, a very enjoyable experience, live music, communal seating, meet your neighbors, have a good time, BYOB.
Mason Arnold developed a local organic food delivery service that pretty much eliminates all excuses for not being able to make it to the farmers markets.
We looked at what we wanted to do in the world. We wanted to make a difference, and we wanted to do something positive. And when we started to look at our food system and see how broken it was, obesity, soaring, all sorts of diseases caused primarily by flaws in our diet and our food system. So we set out to find a better way to bring people fresh and healthy food. Much of what we deliver was in the ground less than 24 hours before it gets dropped on their door. So you go online, enter your zip code, see what your delivery day is, and then you just shop like you would at any other website.
Eduardo Longoria's Casa de Luz provides ready-made macrobiotic meals 7 days a week.
The food that we serve in our dining room, it has several characteristics. One of them is that it's non-processed. In other words, we try to get it as close to how the earth gave it to us. And very importantly, organic. You know, there's fast food restaurants and you go and you stop at the little radio and you call in your food and they say, come drive up to the window, and then you pay for it and then they give you a bag. And that took maybe 3 to 5 minutes perhaps. Well, here you walk in and the food's ready.
More than anything, I found that slow food producers and co-producers care about the earth. They care about people, and they care about the product they put their name on. Each one of them is doing it for the good of humanity, to preserve our culture and invest in its future. They care about the foods we've become so detached from and recognize its significance in our lives.
Truly, we want to balance, get close to nature, and what's more intimate than the food we put into our bodies? What is more intimate than that?
From day one, and from the moment we're born, we are focused on the emotional and the physical satisfaction we get from food, from nourishment and nutrition. And we move away from that with time, and we're told to eat on a schedule, and we're told to eat certain things, and eat quickly and move on, and that life's about everything else besides eating.
This food is what is nourishing our body. It gives us what we need so that we can go off and do other things, and that we should celebrate that more, and food should not be a chore.
We really lost our roots as far as what food is, where it comes from, what we should be eating, and what our local traditions are. And if we've forgotten them, we need to bring them back because they're there for a reason.
We have to work to preserve the old ways of living and the old ways of producing and the old ways of connecting with food. And if we don't, then we're headed down a really dangerous path.
We're really hitting a very important time in our modern history where we have a really distinct opportunity to take things back because the giants are falling. And when that happens, we'll be here.